Welcome to the Home Building Hub, your essential podcast guide to building your new home. Hosted by industry experts Colin Bischoff and Darren Brennan, this conversational podcast will help better educate you about all things new home building so you can avoid costly mistakes and enjoy your building experience to the fullest, no matter which home builder you choose.
G'day guys, welcome to the Home Building Hub, and as always, I'm today joined by co-host Colin Bischoff, and I don't get to kick the podcast off this way very often, Colin, so I'm feeling very privileged right now, mate, and I can see that smirk on your face. If you are watching us on YouTube, you'll see Colin feeling a little nervous about how this one's going to roll, but mate, welcome on board for another episode, mate. I think this is episode number 121, and we're pumping through them, so and we're really hopeful that people are getting great value out of the content we're providing. But, mate, how are you today? Going right?
Very well. Good for you to do the intro. Well done.
Great change up.
Because I'm going to do most of the talking on this one. We're going to give people an insight into the 4 tips to avoid overwhelm when visiting display homes, Dazza. That's what I'm going to cover off on and get your feedback a little later on that.
Yeah, for sure.
And the reason for that is because we visited some display homes. I went with my partner, Tracy, last weekend. And Daz, you and I, we've been in this industry a long time. And the reality is we don't look at display homes the way that normal people do because we've been in them selling. We've been at management levels of consultants and management levels over managers and managers over managers over managers, different levels, marketing, sales, you name it. So when we look through a display home, we actually look at a whole bunch of different things that you would not even notice. That said, I haven't been to a display village for years, and we just wanted to go and get some inspiration. Was really the goal. And Tracy was keen to go and have a look, and we went to a couple of villages just to see what was out there, you know, the styles, the designs, I guess the trends as such. And like I said, it was a bit of a challenge for me to go through that experience. But what was interesting was, I suppose, what Tracy was looking at and calling out and things like that. So I thought I'd share that, and it led to some thoughts. And for those who are already in the process a little bit, we actually did an episode very early on, Darren, and that was to help people to go through display villages and what questions to ask, what questions not to ask, etc. This is actually for people earlier in the process. Hopefully you've got finance.
Through the question asking.
Yeah, it's way before that.
More than anything, right?
Exactly right. And I think this is a step that people love to take. It's like, well, hey, we're thinking about doing a house at some point, 6 months, 6 years, doesn't matter. Do you want to go and see some villages?
Yep.
Totally fine. And that's what they're there for. So I thought I'd give you the four tips to help, I guess, go through that process. If you're so early in the piece that you just want some inspiration, this might help make it a little bit easier.
I think on that note too, Cole, I think a lot of people these days do so much of their shopping online, right? And they forget the joy of actually wandering through a display home. They're pretty special places, There are some seriously beautiful homes out there, and they don't have to be expensive to be beautiful, right? You can end up with some really cool designs. And again, you and I don't look for that stuff, but I know likewise, if I ever bring my partner out, you wander through and they're looking at a whole different stuff, but you can see, you watch these TV shows about renovating a home or building a home. You've got the block on at the moment on the telly and, all this inspiration there. But you can get the same by just popping into your local display village and hovering and wander through. And there might be 5, 10, 20 homes, wander through and really soak it up and see what's happening out there. There's so many cool things happening in homes, Colin. And that's the joy, right? And even when, I know you haven't been through for a while, but I'm in displays every week. And I will wander through our display homes, clearly where I work, but I also wander through other display homes just to check out what they're up to if something new's opened. And you see something, you're like, I haven't seen that in a house before. It could be, it's unusual to actually have a tap over the top of your cooktop, but it's so cool. Like, just fill the big pot up right there. You don't have to carry it across the kitchen, splash water on the floor. You need to top a bit more water up in there. You're not dragging the kettle over the top of a burning thing. And you're like, I wouldn't mind that in my house. That'd be pretty cool. So that inspiration is always fantastic. So, mate, tell me, what did you get away? What did you take? You had 4 key takeaways. What are they, mate? Let's go.
Well, some of my takeaways I shared with you pre-recording. about sales consultants and those sorts of things, which I
But we're
probably
not
can't.
talking about them today,
I
are we?
can't touch on because my blood boiled a little bit with a couple of those reps out there, but I'll leave that alone. The the 4 points for the listeners right there. So number one, when you go out for some inspo, you really need to set the intention, right? So if you're not sure and you're trying to work out some good ideas and really things like that, what I'd like you to do is very simple. Identify 5 things you loved, 5 things you didn't love. 5 things that you think would work for you, and 5 things that I came out of it, Darren, thinking I actually learned probably more of what I wouldn't do and what I wouldn't want than what I would. And that's
Yeah.
something interesting. And I think that's something worth noting down. So the first thing, 5 things good, 5 things bad, but take notes. Just if you're on your phone, just put it on notes, take some photos, take some notes, which
Yeah.
builder, which house. Just do that
It could be
because you
simple
will
stuff,
forget.
Cole. Also, I think just when you're saying that, I think about sometimes they have these pokey little living areas off another living area.
Yep.
And in my style of life, my kids are older. My youngest is 16. He don't even want to sit in the same room as us, right? He wants
Yeah.
a door on it and he wants his own private space and all that sort of stuff, which he has.
Yeah.
So our house is set up for that. But when the kids are little, gee, well, a room like that would be awesome. And we sort of had that, They can play their toys and stuff. He can see what they're doing, look from the kitchen, etc. Whereas when they're older, I don't want to see him either. I do, but I don't. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I know what
give
you
him his
mean.
own private space.
So if
So
you're heading out as a couple, for example, take your own, do your own
yeah,
5, pros and cons, and
for
then
sure.
meet for the coffee later and go through them. Just having them documented,
Yeah,
and I'll explain why shortly. But number one, set the intention. Number two is don't get bogged down by the detail. Now, this is something I learnt. Uh, this is something that we know so well, Darren, is that meet
yeah,
and greet process, that what's included, what's not, what's on display, all that sort of stuff. But for people in the inspiration stage, they don't actually need to know or understand any of that stuff.
yeah,
They just need to go through the house and look at the things they liked and look at the things they don't like and work that out. So my suggestion is don't worry about inclusions, promotions, don't worry about all the noise because that's just going to distract you. And most importantly, it's going to confuse you. Just
yeah,
be open and honest with the person who's in the office and say, we're on day one. We are only looking for inspiration. I don't want to waste your time. There's no point talking about anything
yeah,
else yet. We're just going to cruise through. And most people will respect that.
yeah, for
So
sure.
I think that's really important. So designs, styles, trends, just go and tell them that's what you're looking for. Don't leave your details anywhere. Like it's a waste of your time, waste of the consultant's time. Just cruise through, make it clear what you're there for. Don't get bogged down in the detail. That's number 2.
And on that note, they're going to be asking for your name and number, right? It's a job, so it's just being respectful about how you handle it. So they will don't think that. Geez, they're pushy. No, that's their job is to get your name and number. It's one of their KPIs, right? So they will be really pushing to get that. Just be respectful, mate. Look, we're just looking right now. Give us your brochure. Give us your business card. We'll call you when we're ready to move forward. If what we've seen today and what we've seen on your website grabs our attention, we're gonna definitely want to talk to you if that's the case. So.
Number 3, if they're all starting to blend in, that's when you should stop for that day. Now, this is a very interesting one because Tracy, my partner, after about 5 or 6 houses, asked me a question: was which was that one in? Which house was this thing in that we saw? And already after that amount of time, it become a little bit blurry and confusing. I call that zombie mode. When you reach zombie mode, and you can tell when you're in it. The first house you go through, you cruise through pretty slowly, and you look at every room and you look at everything. And then the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth. By the time you're walking through the 5th house or the 10th house, depending on how long it takes you to get through to zombie mode, you're actually not really even looking at much. You walk in the door and you just go through this zombie mode walk, and you're not actually taking much in. And that's what everyone goes through. And that's the stuff as a sales consultant I used to try and stop people from doing
Yeah,
because you're not really even looking. But in this case, if you're looking for inspiration and you find yourself a little bit overwhelmed with it all, you've seen too many, it's starting to blur, then just stop and just leave it there and come back another day.
yeah,
Okay, so I'd say that That's something, tip number 3, which leads to tip number 4. Discuss your findings on the day. So set the intention. We said take photos, take notes. And then once you don't get bogged down by the detail, and then once you start seeing them blend in, that's number 3. Now you go to number 4, discuss your findings on the day. Go and have a coffee or over dinner that night. Just reveal the picks, reveal the 5 goodies and the 5 baddies that you came across, and discuss those things so you remember which house it was from. And these things will really start to formulate or help you formulate your needs versus your wants list, which is a very important part of the process
Absolutely.
in line with your budget.
Good. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple, and they're really easy tips, Cole. But again, it's probably good, like you say, you've done it a lot, but taking Tracy out there on the weekend just opens your eyes up to it again, doesn't it? Really, and puts I guess, allows you to move into the eyes of a consumer more so than the eyes of a person working within the industry, and it just really helps in that. I think the grabbing the coffee bit afterwards is the key. Discuss what it is. Life's busy, right? So, often we don't get that time to do that. So if you do set some time aside to really discuss those key points, it probably helps you formulate, that true wish list of what you want in a home. And when you get that to that point, particularly if it's your second or third home or whatever, and you're looking now for a little bit, and it could only be your first home, but you've got a limited budget. But as you sort of move through the I guess up the property ladder, so to speak, being able to have some of those real key things that you really like and want to have just helps you really hone in on a specific design in due course. And I think you touched on not worrying about promotions and stuff like that. I think in the end, the absolute key is finding the house that you really like at a price that you can afford. That's the key outcome you're looking for. Doesn't matter what's in the promotion. Doesn't matter even if you have to spend 10 grand more than another home, but you get the ideal home. That's the right home to buy. Get the one that you love the most, because in the end, that'll be the one that becomes, where your memories are formed, where, those great moments in life are lived that you'll be so much happier with. So, don't worry about the promotion, don't worry about the other bits and pieces. Get the floor plan right, really try and match that to your ideal needs, and you're going to have a great home in the end. And these tips will just help you in that really early stage, Cole, in that journey to start to gather inspiration, which is fantastic.
They are there for that reason. It's almost like the end result's to have a complete puzzle. You've completed put all the pieces together, and it's done. But if you look at the start of that, this inspiration part is you actually got to find out what the puzzle pieces are,
Yeah,
and then let someone put that together for you.
for
So
sure.
I know I want a kitchen with this, and a lounge with that, and whatever with that. Now that's their pieces of the puzzle that you want. So you put them in the box, and then you go, this is what I want. And a good consultant can grab those puzzle pieces and put them together and say, bang, here's a plan that works. Here's a quote. That's when you can talk about promotion and all that sort of stuff. But this is just targeted to your initial inspo time frame. Before, you
Yeah,
don't even need to talk quotes. Don't talk to consultants. Don't visit land offices. I don't mean that in a bad way for anyone. I'm just saying you're just at that starting point. These are 4 things you should do, and hopefully they help. That's it.
mate, fantastic. Hey, thanks very much, Cole. Glad you got out there and visited the display homes, which you haven't done for a while. So welcome back to Display World. And mate, we'll catch up with everyone on the very next episode. If you've got any ideas you want to talk to us about, or you'd love to leave us a 5-star review, we'd love both of those. 5-star review on the platform you're listening to us on, or visit homebuildinghub.com.au and message us via there. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Cheers. Thanks for listening to the podcast, guys. And just our disclaimer, whilst we're all about providing value to you, this podcast should not be considered as legal or financial advice. It contains general information only, and you should seek out independent professional advice on your personal situation before making any legal or financial decisions.
1,